there. So okay, so yeah, there is a process to reset the controller back to the factory, not the Rowita factory settings, because there's also a factory reset, but there's a default reset, and that takes it back to Thunder's configuration file that's stored into the controller. So there is a way to get it back to like it was when it came out of the box. So and that's something that we may look at, but the first thing I want to see is I'm going to pull that let me see if I can pull that ticket up that we had. I want to look at the images one more time of what you sent me of the control panel and everything. Let's
Okay.
see.
And right now, I've got it on the USB.
Okay. You can and you can have the Ethernet one connected as well if you like, if it's not, and that way we can go through that and let's see.
Yeah, they're both hooked up.
Okay.
So we can just switch back and forth.
Yeah, so the control panel, yeah, that is definitely something wrong with that file. Big time. Your scanning offset is off by a huge amount. So yeah, we can. Let me pop back in here, and let's go to your. Oh, if I can get it to click. Sometimes my refresh. Now, did you enter these? Did we enter these values together, or did you enter these in?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure I was doing it right, and
Yeah.
so the first time we talked after I got the machine, I got to find that card.
I'm gonna go back to millimeters, since we always work in millimeters.
Okay.
In that, just so that we can make sure the values are going to be the same. See, I think your line shift got off somehow. There's no way these are right. Not for that machine. Not for, you know. So we need to go back through and change these.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wow. Yeah, that 200 millimeters should be 0.06.
Right. Yeah, we should be in the tenths and hundredths of, millimeters, not tens of millimeters almost. So
How in the world could something like that happen?
it could have been in inches when we did it, but it'll show here on the side. But whatever value, whatever metric or imperial, whatever is showing here is what you'll have to enter here. So it might have gotten off in a conversion or something, or we might have put it in. I'm pretty sure I checked that because that happens a lot. So
Well, it's been engraving just beautifully.
yeah,
Even
something
real
happened to
small
it.
lettering.
It could have just flaked out, quite honestly. If it had been doing okay, and then now it's not, that we may not know how those changed, but as long as we get them back to where they are, that should take care of that part. So.
Yesterday I was just doing some Christmas ornaments for a charity thing here in town, and I even had lettering that was less than an eighth of an inch, and I had it alert and everything. It was just,
right. Yeah. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
I turned the machine off, turned it back on, and wham! Everything went crazy.
I hear you. It happens sometimes.
Okay.
So let me see here. Let me get back on that line
one's,
shift. Are you moving it? Are you going to change it? Yeah,
I can.
That's fine. I mean, I was trying to get it. It may be easier because I'm having a little bit of lag. There's some latency.
Oh, okay.
You may want to type those in, and then
0.0. All right. Now it just rounded that up to 0.
that's fine. It will in the preview.
0.07.
It will in the preview. But if you open that back up, it'll be correct.
Okay. 400 is. Yeah, those are way off. 600 is.
I've seen this happen before. I can't really put my finger on why. Microsoft Updates does weird things to Lightburn. he constantly fights Microsoft stuff. That's why he had to write his own video capture engine, to do the Thundercam or the Lightburn Cam, because Windows security on their USB camera stuff is so tight. It would constantly crash just because Microsoft would do a security update and then everybody's cameras quit working. So.
Okay. And 0.140. I don't have a 1600. Where did that come from?
I don't know, but we can take it out.
Bizarre.
And oops. There we go.
Okay.
Now you should be good.
So okay.
And if you want, we can look at that Ethernet thing, because I'm sure that fixed that last thing. We can, if you want to go ahead and knock that out too. That again could, let me jump in here.
Yeah, we can send that job over again.
CMD.
Bring it back up.
And let's ping 192.168.1.100 with a terminal. And we're talking to the laser. At least your computer LAN port is communicating with it.
Okay.
So that's good. So let's go in here and look at the settings. Make sure that our IP address didn't get whacked.
I even tried, well, that's possible. I even tried setting it up again. And now, does that look right where it has the 3 dashes after that one?
Well, it does that, and I've corrected it before, and then I've not corrected it, and I haven't really found that it's been an issue. It looks weird, but if I right-click on devices, no device found. All right. Yeah, it's got to be that then. It can't be anything else. Everything is okay. Everything else in these settings. So let's get back to that.
Yeah, when I tried to set it up a second time, I just duplicated that exactly.
Well, I think when you enter it in the first time, it's right, and then after you look at it in the preview, for some reason it takes those leading zeros out, and it makes it look funny on the display. So if you put it back in like that, it probably won't be right anymore. 192. Am I still typing? Yep, 168. 001 100.
001, not 1 dash dash dash.
Right. Now see, after
I didn't put dashes in, but
after we enter this and go back and look at it, I think it'll have those goofy dashes in it. But I'm not going to look just yet. I'm going to see if we get a device now. Can you wait? That's weird. That should be correct.
It looked like it was talking to the machine through the.
Can you restart the controller? Just turn the laser main power off and back on.
Yeah.
That makes 0 sense.
That's what I was afraid.
Because we can ping it from the command line. And that means that it is, see, it did this.
Yeah.
I'm glad I recorded this. And we probably need to reboot your laptop or your computer. That may have something to do with it.
Okay.
Because that should be correct. Let's go out of Lightburn and go back in. Yeah, that's strange. No device found. See, that just doesn't make sense. Because okay, do me a favor and unplug the Ethernet port of the laser so it's not connected to your computer with the Ethernet.
Okay. Done.
Okay, so it's disconnected right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got another device on your network with the same IP address as your laser, so there's an IP address conflict. So that's why it can't see it. So we need to
I
change.
don't even know what that would be.
It could be anything. DHCP normally handles it. You know, if you hook up a computer or somebody else brings their phone over and connects to your internet, it's all kind of automatic and it hands out those addresses automatically. And there's a number of ways that you can prevent this. You can add an exception so that that address will not be handed out and then reset your network, or we can change the IP address of the laser to something that's
No,
that's not on there.
I just got a new Samsung Galaxy tablet,
Mm-hmm.
and I had that in here. I don't think I had it in here yesterday, but I had it in here the day before,
Mm-hmm.
and just using it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they started talking to each other somehow or not.
Yeah,
'Cause they're using the same Wi-Fi.
Well,
connection.
here's the thing. Unless your router knows that it's not supposed to hand out this address. Let's say this is this is a static IP on the laser. The reason that's a little different is most devices auto negotiate an address whenever they get on the network, and the laser can't do that. It can't say, hey, tell me what my IP address needs to be and I'll make it that. It's not meant to do that. So you have to give it a static IP, and that can never change. So if it's on the same, range as your rest of your network, and then your network doesn't know that it can't give this address out. So the next thing that connects to the network gets this address because it doesn't know any better. So, we need to go over to the control panel on the laser and change the IP address.
Let me plug this back in. The Ethernet.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we've figured out what the problem is now. So,
Okay. I don't have to make very many moves in this little workshop. Not only am I on top of everything, everything's on top of me. So I'm at the control panel here. So menu, I assume.
Yep, and we're going to go to the IP config.
Okay.
Now, I just randomly chose an IP address of 192.168.1.250, just, an arbitrary number up on the higher end. And I can't guarantee this one won't be handed out, but there's a good chance it won't be, because above 200 is usually network appliances and stuff to administrate, the network. The DHCP pool usually doesn't go that high unless it has to.
Oh,
So
okay. Oops.
now, this is let's see. I think I have an article on it. Maybe I don't. Maybe there's a video. It's a little bit weird to navigate that control panel when you get into
I'm finding
diag.
that out.
You move.
I wiped out the 192.
Yeah.
But I've re-entered it. I'm trying to figure out how to get over the last 3 digits.
Yeah, I think you move between octets by pressing. It'll tell you the Z key, the menu key. It'll say down there in the control panel. It's down at the very bottom.
Says press VU to move
Yeah, that
item.
that goes from box to box. That moves from octet to octet. When you press the ZU button, that moves you to the next field.
Okay, well, but I don't have a ZU button.
Yeah, a menu if you have a newer controller.
Oh, menu. Oh, okay, menu. Okay. All right, now I'm over to the last 3. So you said 2.
250.
Okay. 5, 2. Hit enter.
Yes, I think.
Okay. Well, let me.
It
Went back out to the main menu, so it's it's saved. 192.168.1250. Okay.
And we are communicating with the laser on its new IP address. Now, if you would reboot the controller again anyway, just for good measure. I want to make sure that I lose my ping for a minute. And then when you switch it back on, I should get it back again. Yep. Okay, we're good. Then all we have to do is go into Lightburn and change the IP address in there to 250, and you should be good. And I don't know why it does that with those lines, but I'm going to leave it alone. I don't think it matters. It never has, as far as I know. There you go.
Hey, it's ready.
There you go.
All right.
Now, if you want to test,
Well,
send a job over there and have a look at it on the display, and it should look right now.
Yeah.
And it should engrave right now.
Okay, now for the heck of it, I'm going to go up to my file, refresh, see all files. Okay. And that'll work. And looks good. All right, let me move the Oregon. I've got the state of Arizona cut out of a piece of Baltic birch.
Gotcha.
Has an angle in there, so I have to reframe it. Okay, well. Well, I'm glad it wasn't any kind of a hardware problem.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's sort of.
Sort
Well,
of.
you know,
We were definitely telling the laser to do some
actual,
funny things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's bizarre the way those. I wonder if I had some kind of a power surge or something that switch the computer.
I don't
but
know.
didn't
I
see any-
recall seeing something like this before, maybe even, personally, but I don't really remember what it was. I think it was one of those deals where I didn't want to jump down that rabbit hole, so I just put the numbers back in and went on. So,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah. Looks perfect.
all right. Well, that ought to take care of you. I appreciate you letting me
Okay.
record this, because if you don't mind, I'm going to publish this because it's some good info about the scanning offset and the diagnostics of that, as well as a little bit of IP and connectivity stuff. So that's good stuff for the community. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And I seem to have the camera working pretty good. I do notice that it's not 100% lined up. I redid maybe the mistake I was making. I did not autofocus. I saw you one article about
yeah,
camera up, autofocus the material. We had trouble with focusing a piece of cardboard.
right.
So I just manually focused it when I did this the last time.
Gotcha.
But I could try putting some tape.
Well,
the edge
here's
of the cardboard.
here's the other way. If you don't like the autofocus, as long as your head is in the normal position all the way up to that stop, the focal point 6 millimeters from the nozzle, so you could actually move the bed up so that it is on that focal plane, and you could do it manually. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But the autofocus is actually very reliable, except on acrylics and corrugated. Of course, if you have it, the flutes or running parallel with the beam, then it'll see right through the cardboard, so it can focus, incorrectly on it because it can look through it. Or if you have a piece of wood that has a little crown or it's bowed a little bit or warped, it can see underneath it. I mean, it's a pretty accurate sensor. So it can false if the conditions aren't suitable, but
Okay.
but yeah, I think if you'll get, whenever you do that initial, that not the lens calibration, but the alignment where you project those test targets, as long as the surface of your material is effectively 6 millimeters from the nozzle, when it's in its far up position on that stop, then that should be the focal plane for the camera as well. But that's why our autofocus works so well with the camera, because it looks at the surface of the material for the autofocus, and that's what the camera looks at. So they play very, very well together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I just find it's a little off on the Y.
And there's adjustments up here. You can adjust your height of your display and the shift. You can move it back and forth and change the scale to match the physical material. So you can match your display that way. Do you see what I mean?
Okay. I'm not sure. In other words, I got that fairly centered.
Yeah.
Up and down and side to side.
Yeah. So what I mean is, if I take this X shift and I start, is it doing it? See, you can affect, you can change the scale and the position of your overlay to match, to fine tune it to the material if for some reason the camera's out of calibration because it's not at the same height or whatever. So there's ways that you can alter it there too.
So in other words, if I were to go ahead and engrave that word test on that piece of material.
Yeah. And then update your overlay.
And if it doesn't match,
then stretch it until it matches. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You could engrave that, update the overlay, and if it's off, then you just adjust your settings up there until it's not as off anymore.
Until the artwork or what I'm seeing right now, until that matches the actual engraving.
Right.
And
yeah.
Will it stay that way? Oh, and save settings. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Get save settings.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll try that.
So
Yeah, it just seemed to be off just a little bit more on the Y than the X axis.
Yeah.
So,
So you could probably
Other than
change your width a little bit, and that'll scale it right. So yep. Oh no, actually,
All right,
you said it
well-
was on the x-axis. Yeah, that would be the width. So we'll give that a
yeah,
shot.
no,
And
the X seems to be fine. It's the Y.
okay, so
I
the
did
height.
one of these ornaments yesterday, and it just barely was on the bottom edge of the ornament where
Gotcha.
on the screen it was nice and well centered in
Yeah.
the round portion.
Now
So,
now on the
I see what you're talking about.
on round stuff, if you had a little pencil marker or a way to mark the dead center of those, you could put your red dot on it and use current position, set your job origin to center, and it would center it up on them, and that way you could visually align it with the red dot. So that's another option on round things that works very well.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh, did I show you?
coming along.
I honestly didn't really know about it until the other day, and I made a video about it. And I may have shown you already, but you can hover over this stuff in Lightburn, like that rectangle, and hit the F1 key,
Oh yeah.
and it'll bring up the documentation for it. So I don't know if
Okay, F1. I saw that, and then I couldn't remember, and then I kept
Yeah.
forgetting to go back and look.
I've been playing with it. It's fun. So, but anyway, I'll let you get back to it, and I guess I'm going to go answer a few more questions, but you should be good to go.
Yeah, I think I got everything, and as you can see, I got a pretty clear image now on the
Mm-hmm.
with that camera.
Yeah.
It turned out you can adjust it on that 4K.
Oh, the
whatever it is.
focus? Yeah.
4K N75.
Jason told me
can
you
adjust the
use
focus.
tweezers or something to twist that little bezel in there or whatever.
You know what I ended up doing is the actual lens of the camera is recessed enough in that little hole in that thing
Mm-hmm.
that I could just put my thumb flat against the bottom of that.
Oh, I
where
see.
the lens is,
And just twist it.
I just turned it. It took me a couple times tweaking it, but
Yeah.
you can see how clear the
Great.
the honeycomb is.
Yep. That
So-
looks really good. So.
Yeah, so I sent that first camera back. I didn't want, since I already set up the second one, I didn't
Right.
go through all that again. But
So,
anyway,
Awesome.
I asked him if he wanted me to send it back. He said, well, if I want to, it'd be nice.
Right.
So I mailed it out last Monday, and so anyway, yeah, he was very helpful with it. They were all set to send me yet a third camera, and then he found out from the manufacturer that is an adjustable
Yeah.
focus on that, just not as obvious as on some of the other cameras.
Sure.
With a big knurled knob
So-
or something. So,
All right.
okay, but you'd already heard that, so you've got that info. So,
Yeah.
in case you're running to it.
Yeah, I need to put that in the publication somewhere in that all in one camera article that I've got somewhere. So I'll go and put that in before I forget. So, well, all right. Well,
Yeah,
if you run into
well.
anything else, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help.
Well, if anything can go wrong, it'll happen to me. So,
That's cool. Well, that's what I'm here for, man.
my last name may be McCrae, but it's pronounced Murphy.
I hear you. I feel that way
There
too.
you go.
So, all
All
right,
right,
man.
Brian. Thanks for the help.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
See ya.